you brought up the point that like, if slow heavy were the only thing that healed tendons, then what did our ancestors do? Mm-hmm. Like they didn't have leg extension machines. So they probably stayed moving and loaded it through walking or running or cutting. I don't know what they did, but they did it through natural means. Like they didn't have the slow heavy.
That would go to, you talk about that healing that hole. If they had a hole or compromised tendon, I guess if they ruptured a tendon, they're kind of screwed if they ruptured their tendon. But if you just get like general like nicks in your tendon or whatever, little holes, and it's like that horse thing too is like it just did graded exposure movement, and that's probably going to be giving you the best case for healing a tendon, because anytime you play, you're going to be damaging the tendon, and you want to keep the cells knowing that I'm pulling in this manner. It's almost like you don't use it, you lose it. So if you don't pull on a tendon, I wonder if there's studies on like people that are paralyzed and what happens to their tendon. I bet you it just turns into like more of a bone material or more of a cartilage material, because you're not yanking on it. So your body's just going to be like, well, let's just turn this in. Let's just calcify this thing, or put cartilage tissue or even fatty infiltration. Let's do all these negative things. Put a bunch of quote unquote, like non-tendon tissue. I love that phrase they use. Put non-tendon tissue in there because you're not using the thing. And that would just support, like, I think movement all day, like the caveman movement all day. It's almost in my head, you kept the calcium and the cartilage and the fat, you kept it out of your tendon because you're pulling on it all day, and the cells were like, let's keep this filled with type 1 collagen, keep it strong. But yeah, for them to heal tendons, I would also think too, if they really, really messed up their patella or their Achilles, people get a limp. And I'm like, maybe did they just limp now for the rest of their life? You know, or did they limp for a while and then that went away? And you always find ways to move, and you just adopted a new movement pattern. Yeah.
And that's what they say about the top athletes, is they're just the best compensators. Like, it's not perfect, but they find a way to compensate and move around their limitation. So it's very possible that that's what our ancestors did as well.
Yeah. That's the calibration, you know, the body calibrates to be like, we still got to get the job done. And it is if you don't use it, you lose it. And if you're laying on the couch all day because you got a tendon pain and that's what they told you to do, like, come on, you gotta just use common sense. That's not how your tendon's gonna heal. Right. Now, if you get a rupture, you gotta listen to them, or if you got a serious thing, you gotta listen to them. But that self-healing thing, they get it with the Achilles. I don't know if you looked into that with the Achilles. Some Achilles ruptures, they will self-heal.
I've heard that.
Yeah, they have to be a candidate for it, so the ends can't be too far apart. And I think they just put them in plantar flexion, and the ends fuse back, and it heals like a normal tendon. But I don't think athletes do it, because one of the complaints is they don't have a pop anymore. And I was kind of speculating. I think when they do an Achilles repair, they try to make it too stiff. They try to put it on the calcaneus and get it too stiff because they know it's going to elongate. I guess one of the processes of tendon regeneration is it naturally elongates. And you would think if it elongates too much, you got no pop out of that Achilles.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens in other tendons, with patella or what, but yeah, that's kind of the counter to the self-healing thing. But it is fascinating that the tendon can self-heal, at least in the Achilles, if you're a candidate. I tore my lat tendon. That wasn't going to self-heal. That was attaching to my skin, and they had to grab it and put it back on the humerus. But seeing some of them self-heal, you see that with some animals. I think the zebrafish, the salamander, maybe, that they self-heal their tendons. Yeah. So this is some of the, in the future, they're going to be like, what is specific to them to let them self-heal? And could we inject that into human tendons and get us to self-heal, you know?
Right.
Yeah.